You're about to see a grown 28-year-old man have a conniption, just a full-blown freak-out meltdown over a chicken nugget story. I'm sure a lot of you have seen and maybe even been keeping up with this McDonald's lawsuit where McDonald's is being sued because their chicken nugget was so hot it gave a young child second-degree burns when it was stuck to their skin for over 2 minutes. Not that it welded to their skin or anything. It got lodged in between their leg and the seatbelt and was pressed against their skin for over 2 minutes while the mother was driving home. And McDonald's has now been found liable for this whole situation here, claiming that the nugget was cooked at over 200 degrees, it was dangerously hot, and there's a whole lot of nuance and moving parts of this. A lot of people are comparing this to the old McDonald's lawsuit where a woman sued over very hot coffee where she spilled it on herself and then sued for it, saying that it was way too hot, and she did win the case. These two are not related, and I am tired of coming in here like Ebenezer Scrooge to lay down the brass tacks. That woman with the hot coffee was a very different situation where there was a legitimate problem with the temperature the coffee was served at, where it was damn near fucking the temperature of the sun's surface. Like, they were serving liquid magma. So when she spilled it on herself, she legitimately disfigured herself. Like, it was a, like, debilitating burn. They were third degree, served from the third circle of hell. And she had to get, like, a skin grafting procedure in order to fix what happened. Like, it was a lot. Now, in this case with the chicken nugget, we're talking about second-degree burns. There is a wide range of difference between second and third-degree burns. Second-degree burns, in very severe cases, can of course be disfiguring to a certain extent, but mainly we're talking blisters. I mean, shit. When we did the Forged in Fire video and I was crafting the finest katana the East Coast has ever seen, I was like a well-oiled machine, a fucking samurai bladesmith. When I was hitting it with the hammer, one of the pieces of the molten like metal bounced up and landed on my hand and temporarily fucking fused with me and burnt it the entire time. We are talking forging temperatures. I forgot exactly what that temperature is, the exact number, but it's well north of a chicken nugget, and that was a second-degree burn. And it was only a blister, and after 2 weeks it went away, and now you would have no idea that I was ever even the victim of such a masculine injury, a fucking blacksmithing injury. And I was 27 at the time, I was a 27-year-old man. I don't have the same superhuman healing capabilities as a child. Children are like fucking Wolverine with adamantium coursing through their veins. They can like instantly heal half of the injuries that would have an older person either dead or hospitalized in the ICU. So I have no doubt that the child will probably be fine here, and I do understand and recognize that it's still a very emotionally distressing situation, but the fact that they're trying to say it's entirely McDonald's fault I think is beyond laughable. And I feel like such a fucking cuck going to bat to defend McDonald's like a free PR loser here for them, but my disdain for multi-billion-dollar fast food corporations is outweighed by my disdain for bad parenting, and I really feel like this is an issue of parenting. I think this is the mom's fault. Now I want to summarize my feelings instantly here so there's no confusion. If this chicken nugget had burned this young child in a matter of seconds after being exposed to her skin, then I would agree that something was wrong on McDonald's end where they were serving dangerously hot food and they would deserve to be held liable. If this chicken nugget had fallen onto her lap and given her second-degree burns within like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, even 30 seconds, I'd be like, okay, something's real fucking weird with the way they're cooking up those nuggets. Why are they so hot? That's way too hot. That's unreasonably hot. But that's not what happened here. That's not the reality of this case. She received second-degree burns after having that chicken nugget pressed against her skin for over 2 minutes. That is a long time. So I don't think there was any hocus pocus with this nugget going on here. I don't think it was a higher temperature than the rest. It was just the only one that got pressed against her skin for such a long period of time. So of course it would cause some damage because of that. I don't think that has anything to do with the temperature. So let's break down the facts of the situation. The mother got their child a Happy Meal in 2019. The child was 4 years old at the time, and she allowed the child to eat in the car unsupervised. Unsupervised might not be the right word here, because it's not like the child had like a, fort in there, like a panic room where they were able to hide away from the mom. Like, she could still see the child, but she was able to eat all by herself without the mom being able to do a whole lot to, help in the situation. And I feel like a child that young is not going to know that chicken nuggets are going to be extremely hot. So they're more than willing to just be a little loosey-goosey with some fresh fucking nuggies. And one wild component about this case that I don't see enough people mentioning is the fact that they even got hot chicken nuggies from McDonald's in the first place, because half the time you get served those, they're fucking ice cubes. So they already found a shiny Pokemon here in the fact that their chicken nuggies were even lukewarm. let alone boiling hot, I suppose. So, the 4-year-old gets the chicken nuggets, the mother is driving, and she spills the nuggets on herself. I believe they said about 6 nuggets. And one of them gets lodged between the seatbelt and her leg. And it gets pressed against her leg and starts burning her for 2 minutes with the child screaming the whole time. I think all of this is a big red flag against the mother here. One, letting the child handle hot food like this at such a young age without the mom being able to, like, help. That it just seems a little irresponsible. And two, taking over 2 minutes to remove a chicken nugget that's scalding your daughter, like that seems like a ridiculously long response time. She probably could have dialed 911 and the fire department would have showed up faster to get it off. Unless she was driving on the interstate, I guess that might be a reason or an excuse, but I don't understand how she wouldn't have been able to at least just like reach over and like brush the nugget off of her daughter's leg. Or pull over and analyze the situation a little bit sooner. It just seems like a really long time. Now let's really dive into the weeds of the situation here. I'm not exactly an expert when it comes to burn science. We'd have to ask fucking Harvey Dent for more specifics, but let's start at the basics. A second-degree burn is classified as a mild to moderate burn, and it's the most common type of burn. Features of a second-degree burn include skin discoloration, blisters, shiny moist skin, pain, discomfort, swelling, and layers of skin peeling away. And I wanted to find information on what temperature foods can start to cause second-degree burns, but unfortunately all the data I was able to collect and find was about liquids and the temperature at which second-degree burns can occur. With liquids, adults can suffer third-degree burns starting at 150-degree water when exposed for only 2 seconds. And burns will also start to occur within a 6-second exposure to 140-degree water or within 30 seconds at 130-degree. So, second-degree burns, from all the data I can find, really start to take place at the 130-degree Fahrenheit mark when exposed for only seconds, like literally like 30 seconds. And then once you get above there, it's even more instantaneous and even more severe. That's when you start going from second to third degree when exposed for like 150 degree Fahrenheit for like 5 seconds, stuff like that. There's also this scald chart here, but keep in mind this is all liquid. So it doesn't exactly translate 1-to-1, but if you look here at 124 degrees Fahrenheit, when exposed for 2 minutes, you get second degree burns. Now, there also is data on for like hot pavement, and hot pavement at 130 degrees Fahrenheit can also start to give you second degree burns pretty quickly as well. But I couldn't find anything for food temperatures. But let's look at some basics here. They're claiming that this chicken nugget had to be fucking going nuclear at over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which to me just sounds unlikely. That would basically be making a chicken nugget and having one of it saturated in pure fat frying oil that somehow gets locked in between the chicken and the breading. So it'd basically be like a gusher of chicken and oil. Because I feel like there's no way chicken itself wouldn't start to liquefy at that temperature. Most chicken is cooked at 165, so it's safe from salmonella. McDonald's is maintaining that it was served at the proper 160 Fahrenheit, which is still, of course, a safe temperature to serve chicken at. And from what I'm reading, no one ever really cooks chicken above 180. 180 is the highest temperature I've seen people cooking chicken, and they claim that it gets really juicy and kind of liquidy. So I imagine if you went into the 200 range, you'd basically get like a fucking chicken broth, like a fucking soup of chicken in the breading. So I just find it kind of unlikely that they'd somehow get a 200 degree nugget, because it already has to go through a long process as well where it was probably sitting for a certain period of time. So it just feels like it probably would have cooled off anyway if they did cook it to 200 degrees, but I'm not going to write that off as impossible. It could just be extremely unlucky. But even then, if it really was 200 degrees, if that 200 degree nugget got pressed against her skin for over 2 minutes, I think she would have much more than second degree burns. She probably would be looking at third degree burns. Of course, that's extrapolating based off the liquid temperature chart for burns, so it's clearly not 1-to-1, but even still, I think that's valuable data to give us some kind of baseline in comparison here. 200 degrees pressed against your skin for over 2 minutes, I definitely think that'd be third degree, not second degree burns. So what I think happened here is the nuggets were served at the right temperature, 160, which is still very hot. It's hot food, obviously. And it doesn't need to be like some kind of freak rogue chicken nugget that's 200 degrees that burnt her daughter. A normal, properly served chicken tender at 160 could still cause second degree burns because it got locked against her skin, pressed against her skin firmly for over 2 minutes. I could take a chicken nugget, not even like a 160 degree nugget, like one that's been sitting out for a while, and if I clench my fist around it for 2 minutes, I would probably get second degree burns too. Like, it doesn't have to be a freakishly hot nugget to cause that, at least not from everything I'm reading here. The problem wasn't that the nugget was too hot, the problem was that it got pressed against her daughter's skin for so long, causing the damage. So I feel like this is just a little silly to say it's McDonald's fault. And one of the things they're coming after McDonald's for is not making it crystal clear that hot food can be dangerous. On Thursday, the jury found McDonald's and franchise owner Upchurch Foods liable for failing to properly warn or provide reasonable instructions on the possible harm from the hot McNuggets dispensed at the Tamarack, Florida drive-thru. That's so embarrassing that we've reached the point that now we need fucking dumbass McDonald's to teach us that hot food can be dangerous. That's sad. Obviously, hot food can burn you. That's like the number one thing a human being learns extremely early in their life. Fucking cavemen knew that fire was hot. Fire equal burn, not good, don't like, ouchie. Like, I can't believe that now we're putting that onus on McDonald's to teach us that a hot food can be hurtful and cause pain when pressed against human skin for over 2 minutes. That is an unreasonably long period of time to experience continuous pain. I also didn't understand this portion of the case either. Miss Holmes purchased 32 chicken nuggets that day, and the evidence will show that 31 of them was no problem. What do you mean? How would you even have that evidence that 31 of them were no problem? They would have cooled off by the time you start gathering the data on their temperature. And then it goes on to say that she has one burn, and that's the one location where the McNugget was trapped by the seatbelt for 2 minutes. No shit! Of all of the nuggets that fell onto her lap, the only one that caused damage was the one that was pressed against her skin. Fucking obviously, this isn't like a eureka moment like a smoking gun. Clearly it's that one. It's 200 degrees, it had to be. It's the only one that had any pressure applied to the skin for an extended period of time. All the other nuggets, I imagine, were brushed off or shaken off in pain, but this one got stuck between the seatbelt and her leg, and I'm guessing while screaming and panicking, she wasn't able to free herself from the pressure being exerted on the nugget and her skin. So that's obviously the one that's going to cause the injury, not the ones that are no longer burning her or anything like that. Fucking clearly. It's not like it instantly touched her skin and burned it. If it did, then I would totally agree that there was something very awry with the process here. If it was only against her skin for a matter of seconds, then I'd be like, oh yeah, McDonald's really fucked up here, because clearly there's no world where a nugget should be so hot that if it touches your skin for like 5, 6, 7 seconds, it should second degree burn you. That's ridiculous. But when it's pressed against your skin for over 2 minutes, I would expect anything to burn you if it's even moderately hot food. So I think this whole case is just fucking ridiculous. I think it's silly. And honestly, some things are really weird about how long it took to respond to her child screaming in pain for over 2 minutes. Something about that rubs me the wrong way. There has to be a good excuse for it, like driving on the interstate or making it completely impossible for her to just reach over and, hit the nugget off her leg herself. I don't really know, but there's something about that component specifically that I find very odd. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this because it's got me tilted, seeing a lot of people talk about it, and it's kind of divisive. It's not like everyone agrees on one thing or the other, but it's just so weird that they were actually found liable here and having to explain that they cooked their food hot to avoid foodborne illness like salmonella. People are starting to question why their food is hot to begin with. Like, how fucking stupid do you have to be to start questioning why food is hot when it's served? There's a reason we cook our food and have been cooking our food for thousands of years now. I don't know why all of a sudden that's being called into question. So, yeah, I just wanted to go over this whole case. That's about it. So, yeah.